Hey everybody, John from Movie Burners here, back with another movie review, and today I'm going to be discussing the 2018 release A Quiet Place. Now, I've mentioned countless times in the past that I am not one for scaring easily. The modern day horror film's over-reliance on jump scares and cheap tricks often leaves me tutting rather than quivering in my boots. I've always preferred the more psychological, thriller-centric films of that genre. And that's exactly what John Krasinski has produced with A Quiet Place. It does have jump scares in there too, admittedly, but this film is more than cheap tricks and scares. It goes deeper than that. The actual premise of the film is surprisingly simple. It's set in the near future of 2020 in a post-apocalyptic environment where humanity has been pretty much wiped out in a matter of just 3 months. The cause of this near-extinction event is the multi-limbed alien creatures dubbed the Black Angels. These fast-moving carnivorous monsters have hypersensitive hearing, and despite being totally blind, they are very difficult to take down with very thick armour all over their body. The film solely focuses on the Abbott family struggling to survive in the midst of their terrifying-looking creatures. We have Lee, played by John Krasinski, the father of the family, Evelyn, played by Emily Blunt, the mother, Reagan, played by Millicent, Simmonds, the daughter, Marcus, played by Noah Jupe, the oldest son, and finally Bew, played by Cade Woodward, the youngest son. They're scavenging for food and medicine in an abandoned small town store when the film opens, and the fundamentals of the new world are fleshed out early on, with communications limited to mere sign language and the family really tiptoeing around in utter fear. There's some tense moments even early on, and as the family make their way out of the store shortly afterwards and the town, Krasinski drops a nuclear bomb to really hammer home just why everyone is staying deathly silent. Young Mew has a toy rocket taken off him earlier on in the store by his father, before his sister innocently hands him it back, not aware of the tragedy that is about to occur. The boy accidentally activates it shortly afterwards in the middle of a woodland setting just before they reach a bridge, the noise startling me and everyone else in the theatre in the process, and then he's taken out by a grotesque shape, storms out of the woods from the side of the road at an absolute blistering pace. Not only does this moment highlight the Abbott family's peril and the alien enemy, but it also ramps up the tension, which was already palpable in the opening shots, even further. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to get into the silence. I have never, and I mean never, experienced quietness in a cinema like this in all my years of going. If you're going to see this film, then do yourself a favour and opt out of the snacks and drinks at the door, unless you want to turn the theatre into an unintentional ASMR experience. You'll hear the drink going down someone's throat and you will hear every crunch of popcorn, believe me. Now, I don't want to give the plot away because this film really should be enjoyed firsthand. That's a massive part of this film's experience, going to see it, experiencing silence and enjoying the story playing out before you. But nonetheless, there's a year-long jump, and the Abbotts, now minus young Bew, are living life in a farm, an isolated one at that. The rest of the film pretty much takes place at this location, with a wheat field, which later on will be full of monsters, a grain silo, which has an interesting moment too, a basement stairway with an uprooted nail, and nearby woods providing plenty of scope and opportunity for tense, terrifying and agonising moments as the film reaches its tantalising conclusion. Indeed, Evelyn stands on the nail that I mentioned in one cringe-inducing moment on the basement stairs, creating a racket in her attempts to free herself and starting the chain reaction of events that leads to the film's riveting finale. The final half hour of this film is incredible, incidentally. I really did enjoy the entirety of A Quiet Place, be it the more deliberate, slower pacing of the opening 40 odd minutes of world building and creating emotional bonds with the family members, to the more frantic showdown with the extraterrestrials that really defined the second half. I mentioned the emotional bonds there, and this is another real strength of this film. I genuinely cared for these characters come the end, which is largely thanks in part to the introspective, intimate style of storytelling that is on show in A Quiet Place. There's several moments that really aid in this process of getting you to care for the characters, and I'll try my best to go through them briefly. You have Lee and Evelyn, trying their best to safeguard and provide a relatively normal life for their family, whilst obviously still grieving for their son. The tender moments between Lee and Evelyn when they have some alone time. The waterfall scene between Marcus and his father, during which they can finally talk because of the noise that's coming off of the cascading water. And finally, the majority of Regan's arc in this film. Her story was by far the most interesting to me. The way she had to handle being deaf in a world with creatures waiting to pounce at every turn, and really trying to deal and handle with the guilt of inadvertently being involved in the death of a young brother. And also fighting against mollycoddling to become a more independent young lady. Emily Blunt is outstanding as Evelyn. I've not seen this woman in a bad film. I just think she's a fantastic actor, whatever you want to call her, and she brings an emotional grounding to the chaotic action of the final 30 minutes. As I say, she was outstanding. John Krasinski was amazing too. This is not a chap that I was a big fan of before this, but he directed, co-wrote and starred in the film, and I have to say hats off to him because he was excellent. He displayed great emotion, delivered a real believable performance as the father of the family. He's obviously married to Emily Blunt in real life, so it's not really surprising that the two had great chemistry. He has a moment late in the film which I'm not going to go into great detail with, but it was absolutely heartrending. But on to my favourite performance of the film, and probably the standout for me, and that is the one that young Millicent Simmonds delivered. She was just incredible in this film. She's deaf in real life, and just the way the majority of the film was seen through her perspective was really interesting. It was a great performance for her age, and I love the way that she proved to be pivotal in subduing the aliens in a rather ingenious way. Now, one aspect of A Quiet Place which I've failed to touch upon yet is probably the most important one in the entire film: the pregnancy of Evelyn, and the decision to really bring a newborn baby into such a dangerous, hostile world. It's a bewildering decision at first, but you do quickly realise that this is the primary theme which this film is trying to explore. Sure, it explores side issues like grief and dealing with the horrific situation the family finds themselves in and having to make really difficult decisions, but primarily it's about family bonds, hope and survival. The arrival of Evelyn's newborn baby represents all this in a microcosm, and it really highlights the indomitable spirit of humanity and the will to survive no matter the odds. If I was to have one small criticism of this film, then it probably would be the score, which I felt they relied on just a little too much to emphasise some of the scares or the proximity of the alien creatures. It wasn't offensively bad, but it wasn't great either for me. I absolutely loved this film in the end though. It was one of the best horrors I've seen in many a year, which is remarkable when you consider its relatively small budget of just $17 million. It took a well-trodden monster horror premise and a simple concept with the silence, and it expanded it into something truly remarkable. It forced the actors to convey their emotions through body language and facial expressions, which was aided by some fantastic cinematography and close-up shots throughout. I just thought it was a truly unique cinematic experience. The CGI stood up, I cared about the characters, the performances were utterly outstanding in the main, it was the perfect length, didn't overstay its welcome, and the story was riveting. It's highly recommended viewing for me, this one, and I'll be giving it a perfect 5 out of 5. Remember guys, if you're enjoying the content we're putting out, then do subscribe to us on YouTube at Movie Burner Entertainment and on iTunes and Google Play at the Movie Burner Podcast, whilst also giving us a little follow on Facebook and Twitter at Movie Burners. You can also catch up with all the latest reviews we're putting out on the Movie Burner blog at movieburnerintertainment.org. Until the next time, goodbye.